Hello, 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 everybody. It's Welcome Wednesday, and I, Rick Mirage, Magic Man. Let's go on, everybody. Hope you're all doing wonderful out there today. I'm going to talk a little bit about being your own healer, self-healing. It's Wellness Wednesday, and I try and go live 3 p.m. every Wednesday. It doesn't always happen, but I'm making a concerted effort to do that, just to bring more information to you all, just about being well and wellness, and what it truly is, because it's such a huge topic. So I'm going to talk about a bunch of different things: health, mental health, spiritual health, and physical health, and well-being. So it's going to encompass a lot of things. So today is talk about self-healing, and when there is, when drug companies, they do these trials, right, and they always have a placebo. And just to give you an example of self-healing, so they have a placebo and they test it against the actual drug. So what they'll do is they'll give a certain percentage of the participants in the trial the actual drug, and then they'll give a certain percentage of the participants a placebo, basically like a sugar pill or something like that. And surprisingly, many of the people who got the placebos end up getting well, because they've mentally thought that they've taken something that will heal them, that will cure them. So just that thought of thinking that you're being healed is healing. Is healing to the body. And a lot of times, so yes, sometimes the medicine does have chemistry, effects on chemistry and the biology of the body, and does make changes where that illness does improve. But the results from some of the placebos, in many, this is in over many studies, the result of some of the placebos are just as good as the person who was taking the drug. So, and all that is this the thought that you've taken something to help you heal. And also there's some people who the actual medicine doesn't affect, because they don't believe that it's going to help them. So the key here is the belief that something will change, that you will heal, and that belief is so strong. When it's strong, there's healing occurs, and when it's not there, healing will not occur. And so it's the belief in our bodies to be able to heal, or the belief in the practitioner, or the belief that something is going to change. So I just want to lay that foundation first, that although medicines and even natural medicines and herbs and teas, yes, they help us heal, but a lot of that healing is done just through our own thoughts and beliefs. And this has been proven in the lab many times. Well, whenever a drug company does a trial, it's proven over and over right there. But just the idea of that your beliefs are creating the state of the wellness in your body has been proven. And so let's just start there. So now, how can we, so if we have a chronic disease or an ailment, or yeah, um, or even just not feeling well, or pain in parts of the body, um, how can we go about healing? People, we say, well, you can just believe that, okay, well, I can heal uh, this pain, and it's not always that easy. There's usually a deep-seated subconscious belief why that pain exists in the first place, or why this condition exists in the first place. And most conditions are created from emotional states. So it's consciously we can try and think about, well, all I need to do is think that I can heal myself, and that's why people try and do that and don't really have success. But there are, without going into the deep emotional states, there are some things that we can do to facilitate some of that healing. So, one ritual is taking a like a shower, like a cleansing shower, and just having the visualization that this water is pouring over us and healing all parts of our body. And just even the thought of allowing that thought to sort of permeate in through your body and in through your senses, um, will start to alleviate some of the pain that you feel. Water has a very, water is very pure, has a high vibrational state. So it's very cleansing. That's why, most people feel so great after they've had a shower, because the water carries such a high vibration most of the time. There are cases where, such polluted water, right? It has a lower vibration, lower frequency. So, there's one way to do that. Daily meditation is another way, and you guys know I'm big on meditation, and however you do it, um, uh, I use visualization, guided imagery myself, and I actually have a course on that. If you're interested in that, I have a meditation course for beginners with guided imagery. But anyways, I use that tool myself. I find it works. It helps me. Even taking a walk in nature, that can be very healing. You start to breathe in the fresh air. You start to sort of get the vibration from the trees. Trees are very high vibrational energy, and call them beings if you want, or souls, let's say. They have, or this high consciousness, high vibrating consciousness that's come here to Mother Earth, and they connect through their root system, right? So that's how they're growing and growing their consciousnesses by connecting through the earth and with all the other trees in the forest. But just sometimes being in that forest will lift your vibrational state, and because everything is vibration and energy. So when you look at an ailment, basically it's some stuck energy. For some reason, it's stuck in that place. So say you have a sore knee or a sore back, and so energy is basically not able to flow through that area. And usually there's an emotional reason for this, but it's regardless of the reason, we'll talk about how we can get to that later. But because of that, energy is stuck there and it's not flowing. That's why we feel pain, and have this stuckness. So when we are in environments like the forest, or imagining taking the shower or in meditation, our energy, our chi starts to flow as it should. you know, when we were born, and as nature intended it to flow. And so yeah, so walking, even a walking meditation is amazing. Um, you know, and just when you're out there or when you're doing in that sort of meditative state, you get to channel that inner knowingness. So just keep an ear out, keep an ear out for that inner knowingness that you have. Um, it's wise. All the answers are within us. We just have to be open to receiving them. So, and that takes work, you know. I'm working on that myself, and everyone at different levels when it comes to listening to their own body and intuition and what's right for them. Um, Breath work is another way that I love, love, love. I love using breath work too, and this is where um, I'm able to connect to those deep emotional states and release those, and then therefore alleviating some of the pain or stuckness in my body. So breath work allows me to really tap into these emotional energies that I'm holding on to, that I'm not even conscious that I'm holding on to. So when I do breath work, I enter into a more receptive, I guess I won't say altered state, but I'll become very aware of what's happening in my body, and where I emotionally what I'm holding on to, and then I'll be able to release that, and that can be through screams, crying, yelling, or just even just breathing through it and just allowing that energy to flow. And so it doesn't always have to be like violent screaming and yelling and exorcist-ish. You can just connect with it, breathe through it, feel it, and just allow it to pass. So that's one way I really like to connect with that. And then as long as if you're having a daily practice like a meditation or something, and just tuning into your body, and I do this not in my breathwork sessions, but I do have every I don't have a set time or anything, but I just connect to my body through breath. So I'll take a long, slow, deep inhale through the nostrils right into my abdomen. Let's just do that together now. We'll just take a deep breath in. And then on the exhale, out to your nostrils, even slower than you were able to breathe in. So breathe in, deep into the abdomen, and then an exhale through the nostrils, but out slow. Take 3 breaths like that, and then just notice how you feel. And almost guarantee that you will feel more connected to your body. You'll feel a little more at peace, and you'll just start to feel the sensations, or maybe even notice things in your body, even little stresses or aches and pains. And so it's interesting when we do start to heal in this way. Part of bringing awareness to ourselves and to our body is the pain actually intensifies, because when we're sort of unconsciously going about our day, we're not tuned into our body and how it's feeling and what it's doing. And then when we do tune in, we actually start to notice some of this pain, and even places that weren't achy before are achy or painful or feel emotional stress. So just be aware that that can happen, and that's perfectly normal. So if you try, you leave this live and you said, well, Rick told me to do this and now I feel worse. Just know that because you're tuning in you may experience more pain. You actually may alleviate some of that pain, just because you're putting attention on it. As soon as we put our attention on that pain and just sort of, even accept it at some level and just allow it to flow. And I'm not going to get into visualizing the healing and things like that, although I do that. I'm not going to talk about that today, because then this live would be way too long. So I just wanted to give you some tips on that. First of all, you have the power to heal yourself. So take that on. Just allow that to set in. You have the power. You don't. You can take other people's diagnosis and prognosis and take it for what it's worth. And I'm not saying don't listen to your medical professionals. I'm not saying that at all. They have the best intentions for your health. So don't do anything irrational. But maybe you can take on the addition of actually healing yourself and believing that you are your healer. You can heal yourself, and just take that on, because even if you're taking prescription medication, part of if you're benefiting from it, part of that is your belief in that medication is going to help you in some way. And in some cases, in chronic disease, well, then you're maintaining that level of you're not allowing it to get worse. But just start to pay attention to your own body. Just, try some of the things I shared with you, and see how it does with your pain. You know what? You can take it on for a week, and if it doesn't work for you, throw it out the window. I just know it works for me, and Sashi and I are both really into health and wellness. So these are some of the things that I do personally, and she has her own set of ways. She you all know she works out like crazy all the time, so she has her own methods, and the combination of them are amazing. So hope that was helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Talk to you all later. Bye for now.